And I figured I'd throw this little video together. I was playing with my bags and trying to come up with a bag for geocaching and hiking and going out with the map and compass. And that's basically what I put together here. I think this bag might be a little bit of overkill, but this bag unfortunately lends itself to that. There's a lot of pockets to it, and I probably added a little bit more to it than I needed to. I might have forgotten a couple of things, but I figured I'd turn on the video and show you around. So this one is it's a Maxpedition. This one is the NeatFreak Organizer. I've been using this one to carry my tiny little laptop around, and I've been kind of coming up with different uses for it. If you just wanted to carry around you know, a limited number of things in a highly organized way, this pack is definitely going to work for you. So anyway, I'm going to get down to it and kind of go through how I set it up here as a geocaching pack. And I think I've got the scale right here. We'll start out with taking the weight. And knock the camera over. We'll start out with the weight of it. And we're looking at about 5 pounds, 12.2 ounces for the pack and all the gear that I've put into it right now. First off, on this outside flap, wasn't sure if I was going to be able to use this outside pocket, but I've crammed the thing so full of stuff that I really can't use this outside pocket. But I do leave the flap there as opposed to putting this inside the pocket. I didn't want to constrict the inside volume of the bag anymore, so I left this flap on the outside. And what since it's Velcroed here in the center, what I've got is just a length of 550 cord with a utility knife on this side and just a small LED light on this side. And then as long as they're tethered together, when this flap comes down and attaches with that Velcro, it's just enough that I can sneak a finger in there and pull that knife out, and it's basically tethered because the 550 cord is attached to that light, which is tethered on that side, and vice versa. If I was to need the light instead of the knife, I've got it tethered the same way. So far, that, at least in concept, that seems to work okay. Of course, if I need either one or both, it's just as easy as pulling it out like I did before. In this outside pack, what I did is I used some malice clips, which secured it very tight to this outside flap. And I put on an Endom USA admin little pocket thing, and it gives you a pouch here on the side with a Velcro close that I have a monocular in, and this is just an 8x21. So it's just a quick way to get a look, you know, maybe on the next hill over, or look around the bottom of some trees or something. And then on this side, there's it's sort of a pocket with Velcro and then some elastic. And I'll show you what I use that for. I just basically leaving myself that pocket for later, but I don't keep anything in it normally. In this little pocket, it fits. It's sort of a decent sized pocket, but because the pack is so full again, I don't have a lot of room in it. But it does allow me to stick my cell phone in fairly easily, and I can kind of maneuver that cell phone back to the top of the pocket here, and it just fits in good with what I've got going on. I don't use my cell phone when I'm out geocaching. It doesn't work anyway, but I keep it around for emergencies, so I would usually turn it off and keep it in that pocket, I think. On the back, you know, the one thing I just don't get about this pack is what this back attachment is. I guess I should go read the website again. It wasn't something I was looking for in the bag, but it's here, and it's almost like a mix between a nylon Alice / Pals sort of thing, but it's definitely set up to accommodate probably a lot of different attachments. But honestly, I'm not interested in wearing it like a belt pouch or anything, so I just ended up keeping that tucked inside. And again, because it's so full, I don't have access. Even though this is a fairly large pocket, I don't really have good access to it, but for a topographic map or whatever, you know, it fits in there. And you know, carrying this as a shoulder pouch, now it's hanging down to my side, and I'm basically going to show you that I keep my GPS in here, and I've got the monocular, then I've got my map, and that's pretty much the stuff I need at hand. What I'm lacking, what I'd like to have, is water. But now that I'm thinking about it, this is already 5 pounds. I mean, even though it might not seem like a lot, it's pretty heavy. So I guess having the water in my hydration pack on my back, since it's heavier, would probably be fine. So that's the outside pockets though. I can get to my cell phone if I need it. Otherwise it's stowed pretty well. I've got the Monocular whenever I need it. It's stowed whenever I don't. I've got the place for my GPS, and it's elastic so it retains it fairly well. And then if I really need to, I've got a quick knife and a quick light. So now we're going to go inside the pack, and I didn't know what this little attachment was for, and then someone had remarked on one of our other videos that it's for holding these zipper pulls. Because the zipper pulls aren't the typical zipper piece of metal thing. Instead, they're these loops of 550 cord, which not only makes them silent, it also gives you the ability to lock them here. So there's no way that as I'm walking around that these zippers, because they're kind of aggressive, easy to open zippers, they're not going to accidentally open. So I can unlock them and open it up for us here. Basically that was everything on the outside. Now we're digging into the inside. It does open all the way, and I've made some modifications to it. I haven't taken a knife and a sewing machine to it, but I've added some things. So what we're looking at in this first part is I don't think I would just open this on the trail or anything. In fact, I'm going to show you. I take the GPS out, for maybe getting out to the location. I might have my GPS in there. But for the most part, this is going to be just extras, emergency stuff, and whatever. It's not something I'm going to need to access too often. So I figure I keep my GPS out here where it's able to be in line with my satellites or whatever. It's also my radio, so it's easy to use. I'm not attaching it to anything. I really don't like the attachment that Garmin gives you. So it looks like this would work for me. It's going to be right around my belt level. Since I use this a lot, I'm not wasting a lot of Velcro getting this in and out. The elastic should be just enough. The only thing I'm concerned about is it doesn't sit quite deep enough, but we'll find out. I could also tether this to a longer piece of 550 if I was really concerned. So in any case, it's not designed to just be open completely, but let's say I was stopped for a moment or I needed a supply or something. I figured I'd show you what I've decided to go with here. First off, in this giant outside pocket, I've got some other maps, and there's enough room there to hold a lot. I probably could reduce some of these if I'm only hiking in a certain area. That would give me some more inside room too. And then I've got this tether, another LED light. If you go out later than you expect, you can't have too many extra lights around. Inside of here I have a cell phone blocker, which I figured just might be handy if I want to make sure my cell phone doesn't keep picking up a signal. I've got a protractor and a compass in case I have to resort to it. I don't know if there's smokers out there, but every once in a while, especially when I find a nice view at sunset or something, I like to have something to smoke. So that's sort of a cigar, but they're size of cigarettes. And this is just like a waterproof, airtight container. If I only smoke a couple of puffs and I'm going to keep hiking, this is basically something to put it in that'll keep it fresh and also won't stink up the bag. Then there's a lighter for that. There's some pockets here that are sort of interesting. There's 2 pockets held with the same strap of Velcro, and I've worked them 2 different ways here. On this side, since when it's in storage, it's got my GPS right in front. I didn't want anything too bulky. So I basically put some stuff that I'm not going to use too often. A memory stick, which is basically just some emergency information. If someone were to find this, or if I found myself, out longer than I expected to be, this is just a some emergency information and some stuff for our businesses. Then here we've got a length of some 550 cord and a light that is still got the little piece of plastic safety, so the battery hasn't been used. Ideally, this has got a full charge. So that's like an emergency light that I'm not going to use often, so I keep them Velcroed up there. And then in this pocket, since I use it a little more often, I just fed the Velcro inside the pocket instead of Velcroing it, and it allows me to get this in and out without much fuss. And this is just a little Altoids tin that we made a divider for to carry some extra SD cards for the cameras. And then in this one, again, I'm not going to use it too often, is a Gerber shortcut, a little multi-tool with scissors on it. So that's how I utilize this side of it. Then I have this inside divider that just comes out, and the idea being that, for however you're going to set this thing up. What I found at a gun show a while back, was these admin panels, and these were really cheap, a couple of bucks, or literally just a couple of bucks, and it's set up for a vest made out of this loop material, and I guess you would just attach this as an admin pouch on your vest, but it matches up almost perfectly with this panel. And now that gives me the ability to have keep a pen and a couple of markers, another pen. I had this marker just sitting there because there's really not a slot for it. And then I also have this little screwdriver deal from CountyCom, which is handy with the GPS and stuff in case you do have to fix or attempt to fix something in the field. Having some small screwdrivers is handy. And since this has the GPS unit in it normally, this would be like my geocaching sort of insert. One of the things I like to keep in my pack whenever I'm hiking and I'm away from my vehicle is a wallet like this. Actually, I had bought this wallet to carry it, but it was huge. It was just way too massive to carry it. So what I do is I keep some cash in there, along with my hunting license, permits to be on the forest, permits to be on state land, stuff like that. I keep them in here, along with this, which is basically a high-quality laser copy, or a nice photocopy of my driver's license, my vehicle registration, my health insurance, and my vehicle insurance, as well as my car key, because I keep it both on the front and the back, and I figure in an emergency a competent locksmith might be able to help fabricate a key for me. It also shows that, while these probably aren't legal documents, it shows that, any officer that wants to can still take a look at all this, and, it helps me prove that's my vehicle, here's who I am, that kind of thing. I've also got one here with my CCW permit on it, in case, I lose my regular wallet, or sometimes I'll, you just forget it. So having this in my gear allows me to just have that extra protection. I've always debated whether or not that's a good idea, because I've never actually needed to use it. It's just been a precaution, but I'm always concerned if I were to lose my pack, I also lose a lot of my valuable information there. So not 100% certain that's a great idea, but it's something that I've been working on with. So that's both sides of the pack here. I'll just pull out all the crap. Really not gonna necessarily use it like this. I was just sort of, using a hypothetical here, just to get an idea how much stuff goes in here though for 5 pounds. I don't think I've put anything in here that I wouldn't use. Sometimes, like I say, these kind of pouches lend themselves to some extra garbage. I guess maybe the radio manuals are a little much. I don't know. This whole entire insert, I kind of figured if I kept all my radio stuff in it, I could just keep it away and have this more of just my hiking sort of pack. Took everything out of here. Again, redundancy on the maps. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The lights. I can't imagine the lights are any problem. They're so lightweight and so useful, so beneficial. Again, because it's a pack for using on GPS trips, that's pretty appropriate. I really don't mind having this out of my pocket. It doesn't get damaged probably sitting in a pack like this. And this type of gear, you need knives all the time. So, one other thing I should have mentioned when it was still packed up, this outside pocket, since I've got the malice clips on the far edges, allows me to probably, if I wanted to, thread this single column sheath knife through here. And while it would probably block the access to this pocket, which isn't a big deal, it would give me quick access to my knife all the time. And probably I could figure out a way to attach this sort of on a temporary basis. Maybe using a zip tie to lock it into place that I could easily pull out, and if I wanted to put the knife back on my belt or something. The only disadvantage, I guess, to this is that, one, the knife would be sort of, when I had this packed, I should have done it because the knife is sort of out, getting in the way of everything. And then additionally, if you set this down, you don't have your knife with you. So anyway, potentially though, I could carry that knife as well. So that's one possible use as a GPS / map and compass / geocaching type of pack. It can definitely carry a lot of stuff, and fairly organized. I didn't really get into it, but it would have been fairly easy to open the pack, get to whatever piece of gear I needed, and then close the pack back up. In fact, it was a little tight. I think without some of those maps to give myself a little more room on the inside, there is pretty much room to get in here and work with it without unzipping it all the way. However, these zippers are easy to open zippers. They don't lock in place, so that might not be as easy as it sounds. I guess it just depends on how much stuff is in your bag. Another thing I came up with this particular setup is if I would have had less stuff in the bag, and I can show you now that there's less stuff in there, I can choose to put this flap down inside of here, which makes it a little more subtle, I guess. And again, depending on how much stuff I have in my bag, then I figured out I was able to take this collapsible baton here, which kind of opens up on a, when you put it, just kind of shake it, but it would fit right here, and it would be locked in place fairly decently. So I thought that might be something to think about too. I like to have these when I'm hiking with my dog, because if two dogs get in a dog fight, the last thing you want to do is stick your hands in there. So having this one, or even potentially this longer one in there, because it would go straight through and gives you a little more reach. Again, if this is something that I usually carry with my dog, so that if they get in a fight, I don't have to get in there, length is probably the advantage there. It's a little heavy, but I think it's worth its weight in gold if I ever do get in that situation. Unfortunately, with a Doberman, every once in a while I do get in a situation where two dogs like to establish dominance, let's say. So otherwise, that's a GPS pouch / admin kit. You know, this might even be something that you might just want to bring along, maybe without the radio stuff, but just when you're camping, to have some of this smaller stuff. Perhaps include a spiral notebook instead of some of this paperwork for the maps, and then that way you know, you've got a place to make notes, to write stories, keep a diary of something neat that happened. I always think it's important to have paper too in an emergency. A couple of times I've been stranded out in the middle of nowhere, either on roads or even in the backcountry, and you know, after a couple of days, even after, you know, a couple of hours, you can forget things. So you know, it's kind of overlooked sometimes, but keeping a diary of a stressful situation can really be important, not only for your own recollection of the events, but, you know, legally things can happen. You know, okay, I needed to bust into this house to get to the telephone. I'm really sorry, guy, but, you know, you had a cabin in the woods and I saw the telephone line. You know, leaving a note to apologize. That's never happened to me, but, you know, I could see it as a potential. One time, though, we did get stuck in some sand and we needed to go over to the camp nearby. No one was there. It was a hunting season. They were out hunting, but we borrowed their shovel to dig our truck out, you know, and again, we would have asked permission, but we would have been there, you know, basically a long time. So we used the shovel. We left a note, and I left my business card, which I didn't really put in here, but it's something that I could probably easily keep in this wallet, is some extra business cards. And then, you know, to let them know, here's who I am. I really apologize for taking the liberty, but thank you very much for the use. Again, keeping a couple of bucks, even in an extreme situation like that, leaving a $5 bill and saying thank you, you know, will go a long way towards someone not getting pissed that you used their shovel without asking. Again, this is, you know, just the videos are intended to give you ideas and, you know, to inspire some feedback. So feel free to comment and let us know what you think.